especially people like him, the elite. He's living in the hills. He's guarded. Dude, none of the things that are affecting average people is bothering him. And then when you ask him, like, he's like, oh, what was so bad? My house was burned down. You know what I mean? They broke into the house. Crime is up. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. It is, Bill. You're out of touch, bro. He goes from his car to the house to the studio and nothing. He doesn't have to deal with anything.
Patrick Bet David is probably fed up with Bill Maher and all of his nonsense. In this video, Bill Maher says something so absurd that Patrick Bet David couldn't help but drop absolute nukes on him for this ridiculous statement. Let's get into this clip here from the PBD podcast on the Valuetainment YouTube channel. Patrick Bet David just absolutely destroys Bill Maher for this completely insane statement. And it's not because Bill's rich or living up in Malibu. This goes way deeper. I don't know how these thoughts even come into his brain. It's mind-blowing.
Half of Republicans say California isn't really American. This is an LA Times story. 50% of U.S. adults perceive California to be in decline. 50% of U.S. adults, not Republican adults. U.S. adults perceive California to be decline, while Republicans particularly negative at 48%, not really American. Many Republicans view California unfavorably, with 30% believing it has a worse natural environment than any other state, and 40% not considering it a good place to visit. Christian Bork of Legger noted, if you are a more conservative American, you basically do not like California. Despite political division, 60% of adults nationwide see California as a trendsetter, with 70% of younger Americans expressing their sentiment. Well, move there. It's a great place for you. Additionally, younger individuals are twice as likely to consider moving to the state. Fantastic. Citing job opportunities as a primary reason, conservative attacks on California fueled by media and politicians contribute to negative views, with 75% of Republicans considering the state unsafe. Governor Newsom, progressive agenda, including climate and healthcare policies, has intensified this divide. Did you see the recent clip with the girl that was on oh, that's the one. Yeah. What's her name? She's the fitness.
Jillian Michaels.
What's her name?
Jillian Michaels.
Jillian Michaels. Go ahead and play this clip. I thought it was very interesting.
Trying to get Gavin to run for president for a very long time. And
are you serious? Are we living in Gavin Newsom's California? Why?
yeah, and I'm sure your life is just a
I left
Look at him.
because
Look
of
at
him.
him.
Oh, right, you're
Moved
in
to
Florida.
Miami.
And so, you know what?
Jillian, hit me
I'll
up.
tell you something.
Lived here my
In
whole life.
2020, I've lived here since '83,
Okay.
and I love where I live.
Yeah,
I
no
love
shit.
California.
I lived in Malibu.
I'm dug in here. I did in 2020, when there was a week when the sun was blotted out from the sky because of fires. I did look at moving to Florida. Now, I think it was a little like when I was contemplating suicide when I was in high school and college. If I got laid once, I would stop to kind of, and I don't think I was ever really going to do it. But I did actually, or get married. You know, I was engaged once, but you know, there are things you in your life you're like, you know what, I might do that. And part of you is like, yeah, never going to do that. Okay. So, I mean, and I think moving to Florida is in that category, but I did look at it because I share your frustrations with California. I do. And those are the things I was saying to him.
I mean, this is one
The
I think I could speak
But
to
again,
pretty eloquently.
But are you happier in Florida?
Yeah.
What is it in Florida that's that compensated more than what you had here?
It
Everything.
feels less crazy than it does here. Here, you just
Florida's less crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hear me
Bill.
out. Hear me out on this.
Really? The
Here's what I
place where
mean.
the people are
Okay.
on
what?
bath salts like
Your
fucking an
girl,
alligator?
Sage Steele.
Yes, that's what
asked
we're all
me. She's
doing
like,
over here.
What was the moment when you felt like California had lost its mind? And it was a piece of legislation that I can't recall.
Did it affect your life?
But Bill,
Did it affect your
is
life?
the crime affecting our lives? Is the homelessness affecting our
was
lives?
crime affecting your life here in
yeah,
California?
absolutely. My house got broken into.
Your house got broken into.
Yes, and
He's
guess what?
shocked. He's
The
shocked.
relationship with PG&E, my house burned down in 2018.
Where's your house?
I lived in Malibu.
Nothing like
Malibu.
it goes to a joke. It's a joke.
PG&E, there it is.
Joke.
Into
It's a joke.
Malibu?
I got.
Things
So-
are rough out.
Of course, Bill Maher is probably a little out of touch just because of where he lives, but that's not an excuse. The real issue here isn't just that he's rich, it's that he's looking for confirmation bias. He'll have people like Jillian Michaels on his show talking about real problems, like her house getting broken into and burned down. but he'll still try to downplay the issue. Maher does have conversations with people on the other side, but it's not about genuine discussion. It's just about creating a back and forth to get views and use them to confirm his own ideas. That's the real problem with Bill Maher. But when he wants to make sense, he's actually done some great segments.
And I made this point, though.
We're making a joke about her house burning down. Wow, things are rough out there, and she quoted PG&E, which we were just talking about.
It's a clear case of, especially people like him, the elite. He's living in the hills. He's guarded. Dude, none of the things that are affecting average people is bothering him. And then when you ask him, like, he's like, oh, what was so bad? My house was burned down. You know what I mean? They broke into the house. Crime is up. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. It is, Bill. You're out of touch, bro. He goes from his car to the house to the studio and nothing. He doesn't have to deal with anything.
Classic
the average American, liberal. The average Californian does. And bro, I'm telling you right now, when's the last time you were in California, Tom?
On purpose?
Yeah, but you see it, right? You're seeing the homelessness. You're seeing
when we went to the Republican debates.
Yeah,
we went Reagan National Library. I'll tell you, I go to California, business, a random wedding, and unfortunately,
and you leave.
3 years ago, a funeral.
Yeah, and you leave.
So in other words, it's life appointments. It's not like, hey, let's take a vacation back and go down to Dana Point. Nope, sorry.
I just don't like
let's
the
shot
shot
at Mammoth.
No, I don't get how Bill can't see what's happening. Like, seriously? If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Now let's dive back in.
It's going to shit.
Let me tell you, there's a difference between stereotypes and reality. Listen, born and raised in Miami, lived in Florida my whole life, went to Florida State. I've lived in every city up and down the state of Florida. The stereotype of we're all just having sex with alligators on bath salts is such a ridiculous slander. But here's the reality of going in California. And Bill talks about this all the time. It's so crazy. He can go to the 9th step. He just can't get to that 10th step. He's constantly talking about the wokeism. He's constantly talking about kids being indoctrinated, about the regulations, trying to build something on his house, an extension of a house that takes 7 years when it should have taken 7 days. He talked about the taxes. He talked about the crime. He's talked about the homelessness. But there's some personal relationship with Gavin Newsom, which he mentioned on the podcast with you.
He loves him.
He said, I love him, that he can't just take that next step. So, yeah, here we'll get to that. So the reality is he's 90% there, but that he can't just basically recognize what the hell's going on here. You know, they say that Florida is Florida man. It's Florida man. Oh, he's having sex with alligators. Well, California man is actually a woman now because they're transitioning and all the kids are basically woke now.
Good point.
So what is California man to you, Bill? So that's like that. And then, you want me to read?
Here's the thing. Leaving America as a rich person is probably one of the most ridiculous things you could do. If you're making tens of thousands a month, you can live like a king in places like Bali or Thailand. But if you're a celebrity making millions, America is where you're going to live your best life. Why leave? There's no better country for someone in their position. Like Patrick Bet-David said on the PBD podcast, they're never going to leave because they know America gives them the best setup. Their threats of leaving are just meaningless.
Read this story right here. So I will say this. I'm a Bill Maher fan on Real Time.
Of course, Adam is the Bill Maher fan. Of course, man.
Bill Maher. Why? Because it's written.
And 30 writers
it's
are
written,
writing
and
from?
it's so well done. There's a difference between Club Random when he's just smoking a joint and just kind of like, going on his own. But his writing on Real Time is fantastic.
It's not his writing, but go ahead.
But his writer, so I'll give him credit with that. But here's the story right here. Bill Maher rips America-bashing liberal celebrities who vowed to flee the country under Trump, yet they're all still here. Here's the story. So Maher bashed Americans who complain about living in the U.S., beginning with politicians like a progressive state representative candidate in New Hampshire.
Do you have a video on this, Rob?
Okay. Who posted on social media saying, I need to get out of this country. That's a candidate for Congress.
Go ahead and play it.
There's a long list of liberal celebrities who swear that, if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Miley Cyrus once said, I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean. Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan.
Still here.
Tom.
But by the way, in that segment, he goes on to Eddie Griffin, still here. I think we have a couple pictures of that, don't you? Rob, I don't know if you want to pull that up. So Eddie Griffin, the comedian, he basically said, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa. Yet, still here. He talked about Miley Cyrus. Our friend George Lopez, we have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. Nope, still here. So all these celebrities who are basically saying, I'm leaving to Canada, I'm fleeing to Canada. We've seen it on The Girls on the View, Whoopi Goldberg. All these people yet are still here. You know, talk is cheap, guys. If you want to leave America, okay, you can go get a one-way ticket.
Did anybody ever actually leave, Rob? Did anyone ever leave? Just because if they did, you got to respect them.
While he's looking, I don't think so. But you know, he has on his show, new rule. How about this as a new rule? If you ever publicly utter the words, I am moving out of the United States if, and that if happens, you have to leave. And don't let our flag hit you on the ass on the way out.
I love it,
I'm
Vinny.
tired of all this talk about how shitty this place is. And if this happens, it's just out of touch, insane people. It's like, just shut up. But I think, like, new rule. Okay, get the hell out of here then. Stop talking, because that if Trump wins, guess what? The odds are he is, if they don't freaking illegally try to hold him out, leave. Go. Where would you go? Go somewhere else.
Yeah. Americans don't cut and run. Americans stay and fix it.
Rob, these are more people that threaten. I'm sorry, Tom. I just want to see the share. And will Jon Stewart say that or no? On the bottom?
Yeah,
he said what? Did he really say it?
What did he say, though?
Jon Stewart said he also
getting in a rocket and going to another planet because clearly this planet has gone bonkers.
Okay, so Neo, who else? Neo came around later on, by the way, I think. Chelsea Handler.
Oh, my girl. Yeah,
going.
shocker alert.
So hot.
I don't know who this is.
That's
Keep going.
Key
and Peele.
Oh, Key and Peele. Okay, got it.
Lena Dunham for sure.
She's the
not in
face
Canada
of Gen
yet?
Z, by the way.
Go to Canada.
Neve Campbell.
All these
Bryan
people.
Cranston.
Bryan
Keep going.
Cranston.
Yeah, shut up.
Who else?
Barbara Streisand.
Did she leave?
No, Barbara's
No.
still here.
They're all still here, Pat.
Tom, go ahead, Tom.
So I'll give you 3 words on this: arrogant, petulant, and headlines. So first of all, it's arrogant to say, me and my great
Hoping you would say
talent.
Scotch.
So yeah, all this talk about celebrities saying they'll leave if Trump wins, we all know it's not happening. It's just a cheap ploy. They're trying to show how bad things are by making these big statements, but they're not going anywhere. They know America is the best place for them, and they're not going to give up the lifestyle they have here. Bill Maher and the folks on the PBD podcast are right. If they really wanted to leave, they would have done it by now, but they haven't and they won't. And if you're enjoying this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole PBD versus Bill Maher situation.